It once was an ordinary family park with nothing much to shout about other than the CCI wood coaster Silver Comet that still stands proudly among the now ruinous state that has engulfed it in only 2 short years. Fantasy Island in Grand Island, New York was for nearly 60 years a much beloved park locally, providing visitors with an affordable getaway with a generous offering of land and water-based activities. But as has been much documented since the park's former owners, Apex Amusements, closed it suddenly, there has been many who have aired their displeasure of the loss of the place and the memories that they have attached to it. A local group under the moniker Empire Adventures attempted to propose a takeover in 2020, but has all but disappeared in its efforts, while former park employee and guest favorite Marshall Dan has become the unofficial custodian of the property, carrying about a noble effort to see a regeneration of some kind. While some of these groups have the best of intentions in mind and no doubt have been hindered by the challenges of the COVID pandemic, others have been aggressive and defensive of their intentions and possibly due to a lack of PR experience have now succumbed to virile attacks at the public that only wish to see a realistic outcome. With all that in mind, in this video we set out a proposal for the park that is a complete left turn from its former aesthetic it had over the years, and instead works as a dramatic reimagination of what could be a unique experience to draw crowds from further reaches than just the local community. The reality of the matter is that the future of the park does not look good. When considering that the recently sold and similar Clementon Park went for $2 million, the $5 million price tag initially slapped on this property was understandably discouraging to any serious buyers. If a bright future does lie ahead, then this is only one of many possible options for a new Fantasy Island to pursue. In France, a very successful medieval theme park called Puy de Feu welcomes visitors to a completely immersive medieval experience unlike any in the world. This is not something that could realistically be done at Fantasy Island's grounds. However, an overarching theme to the park is something that should be looked at. Niagara Falls, the near main tourist attraction, is also the unheralded capital of scare attractions and haunt events. Considering the prolonged success of these operations, such as the House of Frankenstein, Nightmares, and Haunt Manor, all to be found on the Canadian side of the falls, there is no reason why an entire park could not be themed around these thrills in a more devilish nature. Being a family park, Fantasy Island would still need to cater to small children not looking for a fright, which is why the overall theme should be based on a classic carnival, the sort that once traveled from town to town with a circus being its chief attraction. The rides that were originally proposed in the 2020 rejuvenation already were from this era. We only need to look at a film like Big Fish or Big Top Pee-wee to understand the old-time carnival atmosphere that could be achieved with this approach. Visitors to the park, after stepping inside, could travel back in time to an era where amusements had a slightly obscure edge. This would also lend to some interesting night events where illuminations could transform the park into a magical and, in areas, sinister atmosphere, drawing in crowds older than the younger children that has been the park's focus. An immediate overhaul of Western Town into a ghost town could retain the original main themed area, and sadly, given the current state of the park, would not require much work to create. The Wild West shows could thus return and provide a nostalgic wink to earlier productions with an entirely different theme. The buildings themselves could be converted into a walk-through haunted attraction, while a classic ghost train could easily complement the area, which already lacks a ride. Across the bridge, the main thrill ride section of the park would act as the main carnival grounds. Through the years, the park has already had in place a big top and outdoor stage for shows, and this would be expanded with an even larger performance tent to draw in drivers passing by on nearby Interstate 190. Characters themed after the classic carnivals of the past could roam this area, while the aforementioned carnival rides could fill this area with dozens of bygone-era thrills that have found a safe home to preserve them. Silver Comet naturally would fit into the theming already, being a callback to the era, but a dedicated attention to establishing a uniform theme throughout would be important. something the former park did not do well, and would give the impression of a real park, rather than a pad of paved land with traveling rides erected on it. With the former spinning wild mouse attraction sadly already sold and gone, the land this attraction once stood on could be used for the first major new attraction. Since the park only has one major coaster, another would be needed to attract more visitors, yet at the same time, it needs to be inexpensive. The best solution, while not exciting thrill goers, but would pay homage to the former attraction in its place, would be a modern Mack Ride spinning coaster with a custom layout. While a ride on the level of Time Traveler or Ride into Happiness would be the ultimate statement, a more family-driven design in the flavor of the new Storm Chaser at Paulton's Park and also found at Knott's Berry Farm in the form of Sierra Sidewinder would be a well-received addition. At the opposite end of the park is the children's area, which could act as a traditional fairground. But in order to really capture the imagination of the original Storybook Village playground, it should be substantially improved and enlarged, becoming a more immersive experience with mazes and playground effects in a controlled area that parents could let their kids explore freely. The larger playground attractions that are hard to find in modern times should be explored here, within the ability that current legislation allows. Enormous bouncing rooms, ball crawls, and inflatable slides could be brought in to add both color and actual excitement to an area long in need of a refresh. At night, the park could take advantage of its unique theming to provide haunt events that run beyond the typical fall season and draw in tourists to Fantasy Island over the summer months for a unique experience. The one area that remains in limbo in this plan is the water park, which, considering its limited selection of slides that now may be beyond repair, should be thought as requiring a complete reimagination, or ideally could be used for another themed area in the future or for a larger attraction. This is sadly the last time First Drop will be looking at the future of Fantasy Island unless true progress is made towards a rejuvenation of the park. The sad consensus amongst the public is that this park has no future, which we certainly hope is not the case. But whatever lies in the future of this once successful independent park, we can only hope for news before the memories once shared there waste away as the place is now. Thanks for watching. There'll be more of these videos coming up as we go south towards Kings Island and Cedar Point, so if you want to see those, do subscribe, share, and like, and thanks for watching.